Hello, everybody, and welcome to Jellyfish Joining a Fan Channel. It is my honor to have with me the preeminent pop funk band of the Northeast. They're winning competitions, they're winning hearts all across the Northeast and beyond. I have with me Spilt Milk. Unbelievable, a band named potentially after that Jellyfish album that you may have heard of. I have with me now, this is where you introduce yourselves and what you play as well.
Hello, my name's Theo, and I'm the drummer in the band predominantly, but I also play keyboards and sing backing vocals, and I help write the songs. Wow, that's a hefty introduction. Hello, I'm Oscar. I am the 1 minute older triplet brother of Theo. I'm the lead singer. I'm the songwriting powerhouse. I'm Isaac. I'm the real songwriting powerhouse and guitarist and do vocals. And I am a minute older than that one, and 2 minutes older than that one. Yeah.
I'm Logan Lavelle. I'm the bassist. Not related or born minutes older than these, but I'm not the main songwriter. I basically just pluck along, play the bass, I groove to the songs, etc.
How old are you though? Are you older
I
than us,
am younger than these. You
Are
were
you really?
born, yeah. You were born in May. I'm July.
You're such a strapping, handsome man. I would
Oh.
have sworn you were older. There we go.
Well, that's the thing. So, Logan not being I guess a quadruplet at that point. How did you meet the rest of the guys in the band?
So I went to school with them. I went to Wickham in year 7 when I was like 11. I met these three, and I couldn't tell them apart when I first met them, but I remember me and Oscar playing random games of footsie in the yard,
We
trying to
didn't.
stand on each other's feet.
We didn't have banter. We didn't have patter back then. We were
Yeah.
just sort of nervous year 7s. And Logan had an interest in the piano, and I wanted to be the piano kid of our year. So there was already a bit of a musical rivalry that we
Yeah.
both played the piano.
Because I started on piano when I was like 11. I took a keenness to piano, and then I ended up learning guitar. And then these were like, "Oh, do you want to help us out with bass?" And then I was like, "Yeah, sure, that would be good." So then now I'm here.
You've been flying ever since as well. Such a good bass
Yeah.
player.
Oh, thank you,
That's all
thank
right.
you.
That's amazing. So, what was it like at school then? Was music was it pushed? Because I mean, at my school, it was not. To the point where it wasn't even a GCSE option. So, was it just you guys who were the musicians in the entire year, or were there other musicians there as well?
So everyone had to take it from like the ages of year 7 till year 9. But when we got to GCSE, it's kind of like it was like a skeleton class really that was ran. And I think by the time we got to A level, it was like 9 people in the whole year that took music. So it was really underfunded and really not well pushed. And I remember being young and doing a show at RGS in Newcastle where they had the most amazing equipment and everything. And Oscar made a joke on stage, like, oh, all of our guitars have like 3 strings on them, and our drum kit's like a bunch of bin lids. But our school didn't like have a load of money, but it had a load of kids that were really interested and a load of passionate teachers. And really good teachers. And it was a strange thing because we went to a sports college and everything was driven towards like sports, but I don't think we ever won anything when it came to sports. It was always like the actors and the musicians went on to be like going to RADA, and like there's people we had that went to the West End and stuff like that. And I think it was just because we were all kept away at like the darkest point of the school in like these old dusty caravans full of asbestos, while everyone had really nice. And we just they were just like crack on. We had really good teachers, and we do like a really good musical every year. We like to excel in like the school shows and stuff like that. That was a really good thing for your ego when you were just in like year 9. We sang Queen's "Somebody to Love."
Nice, that's ambitious, isn't it?
And I
That's
did the
amazing.
Glee, and I did that high note in the Glee version. The Adam Lambert, like we were like, I don't think it's gotten better since 13 or something. It was a really ambitious choice. Logan was the Artful Dodger.
Yeah, I took more of a liking to music. Like after I had a period of time when I was playing piano and I actually wanted to do acting, and I'd done a course at the Theatre Royal for a full year. It was like an intensive training course to do acting, and then I was like, Actually, music's a bit easier and more fun. So I was like, boom,
We
focus
all
on
we all
music.
kind of know each other because we were like theatre kids.
Yeah,
and
yeah,
did
yeah.
music as well then.
Yeah.
But we always sang,
Mm.
and then started our busking stuff, and that's kind of how the three of us got into it. And it's all kind of elaborated from that, really.
Yeah.
Amazing. So was it school that ignited your love, or were you doing stuff at home anyway? Like, do you come from a musical family, and were records introduced to you, all that kind of thing? And this goes to everyone.
For me personally, neither of my parents were able to play an instrument, and it was just my own interest when I was like, oh, I want to learn how to play this, just sort of out of hobby. I feel like I'd done every hobby under the sun when I was a child.
I can
And
vouch
like
for that.
tried everything. I'd see Oscar juggle, and then I was like, I want to learn how to juggle, and I'd
You
just
know,
go and do that.
you had juggling, skateboarding,
Yeah.
chess,
Yeah,
Rubik's
like,
cubes.
random.
You can backflip, you can ice skate.
You
Really
can
well. Ice
yeah.
skate.
I'm being
Oh my
showered
God.
now with
Yeah.
compliments.
No, we never said
But
you were
yeah.
any good.
Yeah, no, I'm a jack of all trades, but I'm
Yeah.
I'm
terrible.
seeing a stage show where there's going to be skating and juggling and everything now. Like I can see it happening.
Yeah.
So
It's a jumbo
When
jump.
they say like a knowledge of ocean a foot deep,
Yeah.
no, well, you can do a kickflip and you can do a backflip. And
I probably can't do a kickflip anymore. That's completely off topic for what it is.
Yeah.
But I just took this, and my parents were like, "Yeah, okay, we'll get you to learn that." And then, like when I just heard you playing and things like that in school, I actually failed GCSE music and kind of lost an interest in music for a little while. I just wasn't very well versed in the sort of academic standpoint of writing about why writers put certain elements in and things like that. I wasn't great at it. I just preferred listening to music and then trying to recreate it and play it. But yeah.
I suppose it's different for us three because our dad is a fantastic pianist, and like since we were like toddlers, pretty much we've always like been introduced to like the Beatles and like all the songs that you sing when you're like a kid, and the Carpenters. But then like later stuff like Ben Folds and like Alanis Morissette. So like when you're like 11 or 12, this was the kind of like the stuff that we were like getting nurtured with, and it's just like, yeah, it's just
Little things as well, like listening to complex stuff, but just knowing it. Like we listened to loads of Stevie Wonder, like sort of album tracks, not really the hits in the car. And after a while, you're learning to harmonize in the car, and we're like that family from Step Brothers, all singing together. But it's like subconsciously, it plays such a big part in your musical repertoire.
Because you're not thinking about it at that point.
Yeah.
So many people see music as like just information, and they don't know how to translate that onto their instrument or to their voice. And it's like, because we've known like a lot of complex songs since we were quite young, it's really helped with our ear, I think, especially being just around the piano and
And they're
doing
just good songs. I mean, For Your Love by Stevie Wonder. I remember belting that in the car, and it's such a tune.
It's got 2 key changes as well. Yeah, that's a good one.
But two different family backgrounds, but we both kind of all came to the same conclusion, really.
As friends.
As friends. Music is fun.
That's great because the thing is with those harmonies as well, you know, you obviously have to be very supportive of each other, and know that like if a harmony is off and stuff like that, it's not about it's about saying that it is and sort of like pointing out where people can improve. Did someone take a leadership role with regards to constructing harmonies, or was it really a cooperative thing?
I think Oscar is the main arranger. I like arranging for vocals and for like SATB, but if we're just doing a 3-part harmony with the three of us, he'll be like, you take this line and make sure it's an ooh when you tail off or an R, and like getting the vowel placement right. And I think I visualize it differently as a drummer. If the analogy I'd use is that if you're drumming to a click track and you don't hear the click track, then that means you're on it. And if you're doing a harmony with us three and you just hear it as one, then I feel like that's when you've like hit the sweet spot.
Yeah.
When you're not really focused on your note, it could be pitchy, but because it's aligned with the rest of the singers,
No.
it's just like
Me and Theo sang first, and we sing stuff from like the musical Oliver, and we loved singing Michael Jackson, and Take That probably was big at the time.
Yeah.
So me and Theo sang from like the age 6 till like 10. And Isaac never took an interest. He did rugby and other stuff. You were great at rugby. How's that going for you?
You were a bit shy,
I was quite shy.
but you have always had a great voice though.
Yeah.
You were a bit shyer, and you took a while to
Yes.
like.
But when we were 10, Isaac sang Bad Day from the Alvin and the Chipmunks film, and we all heard him sing it, and it was like X Factor moment. Like, Isaac can sing. What the hell? We just found our sound, guys. Yeah, but like when we rehearse, I think Oscar can take a lead when it comes to the harmonies, but we all come up with our own ideas. It's just Oscar's he's always down at the keyboard, so it's just easiest for us to pick out our notes and figure out what we're going to be doing. But
Do
like,
you know which like sort of harmony, like Isaac, for example, are you always going to sing the higher harmony and all that kind of thing? Or-
I hate doing the high harmonies.
I usually take the high line.
Theo will take the high line for a harmony, and Oscar always gets the melody. So
You'll
he's
take
not
like
even
a-
trying really.
You do like a tenor line. Sometimes Isaac will do a line that doesn't really move, but that's like the thickness of it. Because if me and Oscar are moving parallel, then you need just like some body to like cut through.
Yeah, but like Theo does.
Yeah, I know.
Theo will pick the top harmony and then decide like 3 or 4 gigs into us like doing this live that he's like, nah, guys, I don't want to do it anymore. And then he might just like latch onto what I'm doing.
Vocal fatigue. It's a real thing.
It's a real struggle.
Some of these lines are solid. Some of these lines are really.
We'll sing some harmonies for you, Pablo. I know
Oh, please do. Well, can you do well for the audience? Can you do the middle of King is Half Undressed, or is that like?
Did we do harmony for that when we did it live? Oh, it was like Blue Autumn, and then someone's Blue Autumn, like Blue Autumn, sunshine kisses. No, that's so tricky, that one. We'll sing one of our own songs. We'll do the thrill.
Please do.
Okay. But I did try and work that out. No, I've got to. You just say I'm useless when I talk, and the whole world wants to tell me how great they'd be without me. And my hands hung low when I walk, and your words keep on killing me. Maybe it's the thrill in me, the thrill that keeps me going. I always butcher the ending of that though. What do I need to do?
I've been serenaded. So what was the moment then that you decided to form a band? Because obviously you like doing stuff in the car and you like just messing around and stuff like that. Was that specific conversation, especially having a drummer and having all the ingredients there?
It was just essentially we'd always done stuff as the 3 of us in like school shows and stuff like that. And then we decided that we wanted to like busk on weekends, like around the Northeast. And like Oscar played ukulele at the time. Theo just got a cajon for Christmas or something, like the little wooden boxes.
The issue is that they didn't know what I could do in the band, and he played ukulele and he played guitar, and I'd kind of just look a bit spare if I was singing. And then I got the cajon, which is the drummer's participation box, and then we were all flying. But we must have put out first with maybe like 8 to 10 songs.
Yeah, we got like a collection of like, it was like Hey Soul Sister and
Ed Sheeran
Isn't She
songs.
Lovely, and yeah, there's a lot of Ed Sheeran stuff. Just kind of like acoustic-y pop type stuff at the time. And we went out to Durham on a Saturday. I remember my grandparents getting the train up to come and see us and bringing like a little bag of change in case we didn't make any money. And we made an absolute killing. It was just old people lobbing coins at us, and we were like never looked back since. Did it for years,
Especially with all the tourists in Durham as well. That was always a really good spot.
But it was really good fun. Like that was kind of our introduction to performing live to just strangers, and it's about as guerrilla marketing as you can get as a band. It was like,
and you totally cut your teeth having to play the same set of like 10 songs, having to do that for maybe like 2 hours. Sometimes we'd busk in the winter, and you can like feel the cold. It's really good practice for just like tough gigging environment, I guess. It's like the thing that it taught me when we'd learned a few more songs, maybe when we had like 20 in our catalogue or maybe a bit more, is it like it teaches you that like a set list needs to be fluid. And I totally agree with that. Like when you're playing live, that like we were like, okay, we've got a crowd of like 30 people by this point, so we need to play like another banger rather than what it says on the set list, take it down and do a slow number. And it's like when all three of us were like judging the crowd and what comes next, then it's much better to like have a set list that you can fluctuate with.
You kind of just like tell really, like when occasionally when people would stop and gather in a big clutter, like at Covent Garden, and you're like, well, we've got them here, guys. Then it's just like, how do we keep them for as long as possible? Just because like they're enjoying the tunes.
Mhm.
So
And the harmonies help with that because
Yeah.
that just grabs people's attention straight away. It's like where else do you hear three singing cherubs, especially when we were younger.
Cherubs.
When we were, well,
Cherubs.
before the voice break, when the harmonies were like Jackson 5 standard, it was like
Or was there a moment when sort of everything dropped and the tone was lowered, so to speak?
I've seen videos back of when we're like 13 and it's before your voice has dropped, but yours had, and we're trying to gel all
I don't
these
think my
harmonies.
voice ever did drop. If anything, like all that
Mine.
really happened was the keys went from being in like E flat down to like A, and that's like as much as it moved really. It was just lower, and like, but that didn't happen overnight. It was a gradual. Oh, let's take this down a semitone, stuff like that. So just so it was easier.
And at that point, when you were busking, was it the three of yous, or was Logan involved? Were you involved in the busking side of it as well?
I actually wasn't. I wasn't really involved until like a lot more recently. Because you've been through two bassists now. And then I came and joined. Like, what?
Yeah, I did that.
Did they spontaneously combust? Or...
No, they're all right. They're just
They're
moved
just in
on.
the basement down. They're just
Yeah,
just
they're
hiding.
under the car.
We don't talk about.
They
them.
just moved on to different things. But I think Logan's been in the band for. You did a few depth gigs at the end of last year.
Yeah, and it was sort of like that was when I had really started to properly try and learn bass because I wasn't really that good at it. I just tried to treat it as guitar with the bottom four strings, and then I soon came to realize it's a lot more than that. It's great fun. It's a lot
Yeah.
more.
But like
Um,
even just having Logan in for the last year,
Yeah.
our stuff is becoming a lot more like funk and R&B orientated. So as a
Also,
rhythm section,
that was Logan's influence on the band.
Yeah.
Then
we've
That's
always liked stuff like Stevie Wonder, but now that it's Logan's playing, but with Oscar moving to the keys and seeing that as
Yeah.
the main instrument and writing different types of songs.
And just the stuff we're listening to as well, it just has made it more funky because we listen to funky music.
Mhm.
And it's like, it's more interesting live than, like we started doing indie and now we're just trying to kind of like mold it into a more kind of Jamiroquai rounded, like Gap Band style, Jackson Sisters kind of amalgamation.
Yeah, whole amalgamation.
With a
yeah.
little bit of Supertramp thrown in there as well.
oh,
A lot of,
Yeah.
a lot of Jellyfish.
Yeah.
you're saying all the right things, definitely. So,
When it comes to Logan and the band, we've all been absolutely gassed since he joined. Like, it's completely changed the whole dynamic. Just to piss in your pocket for a little bit. I was
Yes, please.
in January. We had a gig booked at a little venue called Alphabet Theatre in Newcastle, which is an amazing place. It's a beautiful place, and it's only like an 80 capacity thing, but we've not played in ages. And I've been on holiday for all of a month, and
in India.
yeah, and the lads were like sending me songs that we'd never done before. We'd never played with Logan properly doing like an original set. It was really rushed, but then we just did it. The gig sold out, which was insane, and we were like, "Oh right, we've got to actually do a set now." And it all just kind of came together.
Yeah.
And like we've been flying this year since then, pretty much. It's been
Yeah.
really good.
you
Like
really
you
have.
said, been saying we get a GCSE in music, and then like we were doing we played a stadium gig opening for James Arthur in June. And I was like, do you know, you should send that to the GCSE music. And just be like, up yours, guys.
Yeah.
No, it's been class.
No, great. Well, before we get into all of that, because obviously we've got to talk about the name as well. So, was it your dad who introduced you to Jellyfish, and what did that immediately grab you? Maybe in ways that other bands didn't quite. Like, are they kind of above certain things in terms of influences, or?
Yeah. The thing that it did for me was that I was like, when I was like 13 or 14, I was like a big Queen kid. I just think I thought Brian May is just like so like he's one of the best guitarists ever, but like I loved all of the like the thick harmonies and like some of the solos, and that was the real thing that grabbed me. And like hearing like the Beatles influence in things as well. So it's like you have a band that encapsulates all of these great nuggets of music and they're just so out there. There was something about the cover straight away that I found like really strange about Spilt Milk. I didn't notice until years that there's a hand pulling back the curtain, and then
Yeah.
when I saw that, it's like, but that's kind of like what the songs are like when you. I still listen to the songs now, and I hear elements that jump out that I just didn't notice the first time round, and it's like that's such a cool thing to have in records because they're just like little like undercover things that you have to.
But the
find.
story about how Adam basically he got us
Our
into
dad.
our dad when we were really young got us into Jellyfish. So we grew up listening to them in the car and singing along to them as well. But his story about how he found this beautiful cover here, Spilt Milk, hence our namesake. He was working in a local radio station. They used to have vinyl records sent to him, and this would have been, was it 95 when this came out? Or was it
91.
1991?
Oh,
So he
for
was
Spilt
in-
Milk, 93 for Spilt Milk.
93, it's
Oh.
1993.
This one.
Yeah, Belly Button would have been.
Oh, sorry, guys.
I'm pretty sure that the cover he saw was Spilt Milk. Because he was working at a radio station at the time, and they'd have vinyl sent in for just random records that they wanted to get played on air. And this was in like Teesside in North Yorkshire. And he found this vinyl while going through just a bin of records. And he was like, what on earth is going on with that cover? Took it home in the evening, gave it a spin, and he was like, this is nothing.
Oh,
I've
and the
ever heard
first
before."
track's Hush. Imagine
Yeah.
spinning it and hearing Hush is the first track. You're
Imagine hearing Hush for the first time.
No, all
Not
the
being able
musical
to go back and
information.
do that.
It's just incredible.
Like you'd be hooked after Hush. What a way to open an album.
Mhm.
But
I
yeah,
remember
that's how about them.
Oh yeah, I remember hearing Hush for the first time, not knowing because it obviously starts quiet and then it builds, but you don't know how far it's going to build before the harmonies come in. So I've got the headphones on, and it's like white knuckle kind of thing until the harmonies kick in, and it's just I've never been moved like that. You know, listening
When
to
did you-
Hush for the first time. Sorry.
When did you first find Jellyfish? Like when did you first discover them?
Oh well, I'll be very brief. 2007, so it was quite late on. It was my boss who showed me Roger's first solo album, and there's a track called "Wish It Would Rain," and that was the track that got me. Very sort of Brian Wilson, Beach Boys kind of thing. They started writing it, Andy and Roger, with Brian Wilson, and it kind of got shelved, and then Roger took over and released it on his first album. So I actually listened to that um, before the Jellyfish albums. But 2007 was when like the tribute album came out, which you would have undoubtedly had a track on it. You know, which track would you record if you were going to record a Jellyfish track?
Oh, that's such a good question. I've thought about this a lot actually.
Yeah.
There's one that I love that would be really hard to do. but it
picking
would
your
be epic.
favourite child.
Yeah. Brighter Day.
Brighter Day would be such a weird.
Oh, yeah.
You know what? There's so many that would be hard for us to do because they're full of so many like elements of like film music. If I had,
It's all
if
like
I-
Foley sounds and stuff in them as
yeah,
well. Though.
if I ever had the opportunity to have like a huge string quartet or like an accordion player or something, be meant to.
At the moment, I'm really big on Russian Hill, and I've just been in San Francisco, and I went down Lombard Street and Russian Hill and walked around, and I had the music going through the cans in my headphone. It's
Beautiful.
very, very tranquil.
That's my favourite track that they do. That's
I
beautiful.
think, yeah, Russian Hill is probably my favourite song that they do, and that would be really good to cover. Or I'd just pick The King is Half Undressed because of how cool
Yeah,
it
it's
is.
really cool.
I think that'd be a really good one for us to cover. Or just maybe like I Want to Stay Home because it's beautiful, and I could do some really nice stuff with the guitars. I think.
The king is half undressed, and Theo has to sing it while he's drumming it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
How did they do that?
I forget that he's the drummer.
I
and the
forget
singer.
all the time that he's the drummer and the singer at the same
Yeah.
time.
But when I've always wanted one of those like.
What?
There was a band called Slaves from Newcastle. Not from Newcastle, sorry. They're from like East Anglia.
They're called soft play now.
Soft
called
play
soft
now,
play,
yeah,
yeah.
they weren't allowed.
And he has the stand-up drum kit. And I always wanted one of them when I was learning to play the drums because I just thought it'd be wicked to have like a bass drum that you hit like a floor tom. But Andy Sturmer, when you see all of those gigs, he has like a stand-up like cocktail kit that he can just do everything on. So that's pretty cool.
Yeah.
I would have to stand up if I sang that though. You'd have to make me a
Yeah, I
custom
know.
drum kit.
And like left-handed, but then open-handed with your right
Yeah.
hand.
But this goes back to the other thing. There's loads of songs that we've covered where we've thought like it would be cool to do a jellyfish thing there. Like we did
Exactly.
Slade's Merry Christmas Everyone last year, and we were playing it live, and or was it in lockdown?
It was in lockdown, but there was a bit in the Ghost at number one where there's like a soundscape kind of thing at the end where it just goes in this like loop. It's almost like a round, but it's so like Beach Boys, and there's all these like and like all these like amazing like elements that they put in. And I'm like, and I was like, that could have just been one line that they sang, but because they arranged it so cleverly, it's like its whole other thing. And I always look for like, if we've got a bit of space after a bridge, I'm like, oh, we have to put a Beach Boys sound.
We did that song, and then we did the "What Did Your Daddy Do When He Seen Your Mama Kissing Santa Claus" bit. But we just looped that and put in more like weird jellyfish harmonies and did strange kind of big real fills of harmonies, and it was really quite fun to play around with.
That's wonderful. So, with regards to the band's growth over the past couple of years in particular, because you're a hardworking band and you're out there and stuff like that. So, was it a case of just continuing to play and be noticed by the right people, or because I know you did enter some competitions and you also won those competitions as well, and that led to your stadium gig as well. So, what was there a particular plan for what you wanted to do to get to this point? Because you're still so young in your careers, and obviously you've got so much that you want. I'm full of flattery. So yeah. So what was the sort of the trajectory at that point? Was it just to continue playing and kind of just seize any opportunity that came up, or were you kind of selective on what you chose to do?
I mean, in regards to the Riverside Stadium gig, I think if you'd asked us at the start of this year how busy in terms of gigs our year had been, we couldn't have told you all these opportunities that arisen because like I feel like in the live music industry, it is very much word of mouth about how you get gigs.
You get gigs off the back of other gigs.
Yeah.
And it's not about what you know, it's about who you know, and it can be a sort of domino effect. But as for the James Arthur, he put on a Battle of the Bands competition the night before at Teesside Students' Union, and we were the wild card. We came fifth out of 200 bands or something that applied
for it.
200 bands, and we came fifth. And then the band that originally came fourth broke up. So, like,
Wow.
3 weeks before the actual show, they said, "Oh, Spilt Milk, you were fifth. We'll put you in this competition." And on the night, I was just thinking, like, we saw everyone else sound check. So they had a guitarist, he played like John Mayer.
Everyone else was a load older than us as well.
Yeah.
They're probably like in their mid to late 20s, and they've been working at it for years.
I was just like, we're so cooked. At least,
Yeah,
we'll,
yeah,
at
yeah,
least we'll
we're-
get an audience of like 500 people, but we're totally not going to win this
Yeah.
thing. Because just the talent on stage was brilliant, but I think he liked that we just seemed a bit younger and we seemed like we'd do a bit more with that exposure.
And
like,
we opened the show like that night as well. So we came out. I remember how
Yeah.
buzzing I was backstage. I was
Yeah,
like
I was-
particle.
I was
I
like-
just wanted to like.
Yeah.
I was so full of energy. I just wanted to get out there. And then I think we treated that gig like what it would have been if we were out there on the riverside.
Yeah,
and
yeah.
he noticed that straight away, and he said like, I knew like 20 minutes into your set that you were just on fire, and I felt it. We played really well the
Yeah,
night
it was-
beforehand. So yeah, it was just a mad experience.
and then by the time we got to the actual stadium, I don't think we were even that nervous anymore. It was so rowdy the night before. I was just like, we deserve to be at this stadium.
Yeah,
lads.
yeah,
I
it
was
was
like,
insane.
give it our all.
Well, that was the thing.
Yeah.
I don't know how we were being the first people to be put out on that night where there was 500 people crammed into the Students' Union, and everyone was really up for it. And then like we just were gonna go out and be balls of energy and like go a bit berserk with it because like we felt that we'd made it just being able to share a bill with them other artists and have James watching us from the sideline and like being on like BBC radio as well and stuff like that. And we were loving it. And then like eventually
they called our name out, and we were like, oh, we've got to do it tomorrow.
Yeah.
We've got to play the stadium.
And then I forgot how to walk.
Yeah.
They said still. Oh,
I just dropped to the floor.
We had
Bedlam.
we had brought a bunch of mates down as well to cheer us on. And a friend of mine, Mairead, she threw her pint into the air and it landed on this bald guy's head who was stood right next to us. And he turned and we were like, and my legs had stopped working. And like my granddad's crying in the corner, being like, I can't believe it. And then all of a sudden, within like a split second, there's this 6'4" bald guy who just wants to headbutt me. And he's like, why did you throw a pint over me? I was like, it wasn't me, it was this last hit. And I held it up and I was like, yeah, don't hit me.
I can kind of imagine that as like an album cover in the style of the belly button cover. Just all of those things you just described. I think that would be quite fun.
Be like a Renaissance painting, but with all of the pint of milk that was launched into the air as well, landing on this bald guy's head.
Well, look, because I don't want to keep you guys too long, and I know that you're going to be performing a song for us as well, and but hopefully we get to do this in person because it was my fault that we couldn't do this in person today. So I'm extremely grateful that you all. I mean, it helps that you all, are either related or I'm guessing live nearby.
Yeah. I do 5 minutes away. I'm just up a big bank.
He lives in the village next to us, pretty much.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Well, I want to thank you for, because you're also playing the Cluny gig tomorrow, which is not your first time at the Cluny, and it's a big Christmas thing. By the time this goes out, you will have played the Cluny gig. So, again, terrible timing on my part. But what do you have coming up, and in terms of releases and gigs and everything?
So we're hoping to do a release maybe at the start of February, sometime into the new year, but we're going to be a lot more consistent. So we're going to be doing like a single like every 6 weeks. We're also going to be doing a music video for a song that we released this summer called Casino. So that'll be out on YouTube. And there's like that's our latest single at the moment.
Yeah.
It's a good tune. Everyone likes Casino.
Yeah,
Casino's fun. It's about a night out we had in Scarborough. So we're filming the music video in Scarborough, having a little holiday while we do it. But just keep in touch if you found this interview, and we'd like to thank you for having us as well. Like,
I appreciate it.
There's no bad people who spread the word of Jellyfish. We're all pilgrims. We're all here to spread the message.
All on a mission.
But no, just keep in touch. We're going to have a load of songs released next year, and probably a headliner in maybe like March time at some venue in Newcastle.
And we've got loads of songs out at the minute. Some with really cool harmonies. Most of them with really cool harmonies. But yeah, we're going to be much more consistent with releasing stuff and hopefully playing more stadiums into the next year.
Yeah,
that is the plan.
That's amazing. So, in terms of your writing, do you feel that your style is already like evolving from what it was when you wrote those original songs, or?
And when I listen back to the original stuff, it fits a brief and whatever. It's very indie, but we do still sound really young on those records. Even like Grey Street, we sound a bit squeakier, and they're just simple songs. Whereas definitely in the past year or 2 years, our jazz brains have started to accelerate a bit, and I love working out interesting progressions, letting a chord progression tell a story. And Theo's a great arranger, and Logan, you're a fantastic arranger in your own right. And that's what we want to really work on. We will hopefully make a concept album somewhat worthy of this this quality.
Masterpiece,
But we want to start crafting the songs more and really having a think about them. They're not just poppy dance floor fillers. Oh, sorry. Sample that shit.
That's right. It's a new sound we've been working on recently.
Well, in terms of like using chord progressions to tell the story as well, that's why I like bands like the Zombies and there's a song on Spilt Milk, Too Much, Too Little, Too Late, where the hook line is over different chords each time. So it starts with like a major thing, then it's more of a minor thing, and then the end, it starts with the riff that it began with, and it just leaves you hanging on, and it's such a bittersweet song. And same with Brighter Day as well, because I'm sure they didn't mean this, but it almost feels like the band is breaking up in the song with like some of the lyrical content and how it's like the nighttime goes into daytime again, sort of, and it just feels like it is a new day, but it's a new day without jellyfish. So at the end of the album, I'm always like, oh, like that. I'm always like emotionally drained, sort of thing.
It ends with the same sorts of instruments you hear on Hush. I love that. That really got me the first time I listened. I listened to a great interview the other day with Sting, where he was talking about the structure of songwriting and stuff. And he said, in modern music, we've forgotten about the bridge. And he says, modern pop's really simplistic. It's just sort of A-B form, verse, chorus. But he said his favorite bit of the song was always the bridge. It's like, if you're writing a song and it's a breakup song, it's like, my girlfriend has left me, and then the chorus, I feel so alone. Next verse, my girlfriend has left me, and then like similar things. But then the bridge is like, well, actually, there might still be hope in this. The bridge tells a different story, and then it's kind of like no artists do that anymore. And it's like he says the bridge is relief. So, and some of our songs got great bridges in. So,
I like a good bridge.
Good bridge.
But it's like
Same here. Yeah.
what I was saying about like crafting the songwriting and like storytelling through all of your elements, that like storytelling through your harmony and through your structure and your form. Form is probably the most important thing, really. But yeah, we're still learning every day and picking up like different skills about our instruments and about songwriting, and it's all really exciting.
And when it comes to the stuff we're going to be recording in the new year, though, we've got like a batch of songs ready to go. So we're just going to like make sure we're dead happy with the production side of that, and like we want to be able to spend as much time on vocals as well as we need in a session, which never feels like we have enough. But yeah, so it's going to be like the stuff we've been trialing with audiences live for like our past few gigs, because it's been going down quite well and people like the new kind of jazzy stuff. We're going to put it down onto a record and see if people want to listen to it.
Very exciting. That's very exciting. So before we go, do you have favorite bridges? I'm gonna go. One of my favorite bridges of all time is "The Show Must Go On" bridge, by Queen. How the guitar solo leads into it as well.
Sorry, I'm singing.
So Brian May wrote good bridges. Sail Away Sweet Sister's got a great bridge as well with the ascending bells, where Freddie sings it off the Game album.
Such a dark song, and then it goes to major in there. There's another example of a song that does
Good
that.
Company. Does it?
Yeah.
Now marriage is... I guess you couldn't say that's a bridge, but that's a whole new... on Night at the Opera, Good Company, when he starts doing the guitar harmonies are like wedding violins. That's a whole different colour to it.
I was going to suggest, just before you put any other really highbrow good suggestions, do you know Impatience by Take That?
Yeah.
Goes to the mixolydian and
Hits that again.
flat.
Cause the storm
runs
so deep. I wasn't going to suggest that one.
Yeah.
Now wrong would take that. Like,
Start doing "Don't You Forget About Me."
Simple Minds.
Simple Minds.
Yeah, well, that's another great.
Will
really
you
good bridge.
stand
Yeah,
above me? That's like relief. That bit there.
Yeah, it is. It's really good bridge.
Any other good bridges people can think of?
There's a good Sting one on Ten Summoner's Tale. It's called "It's Probably Me." It's got some really weird chords in,
That's
and
a
then
great song, yeah.
and then that bridge is really out there, really rogue. You got any, Logan?
It's not necessarily a bridge, but what always gets me is the change in dynamic at the end of New Mistake. Like when it sort of switches and then the vocal melody's different. It's not a bridge, and like it's not a bridge, it's the ending of the song. But it's just like every time. It's so good. Incredible.
Andy talks about it in the fan club book. He calls it pure Manning magic. That's definitely what he brought in terms of the arrangements and everything. Those outros are always great with him. But and it's the same on his solo stuff as well. But we could talk about that forever. And hopefully we'll do a part 2. But where can people find you guys, and where can people send fan mail and bras and stuff like that?
Oh, we're inundated with bras, please. No,
Any more? We don't need any more.
Isaac's trying to get through them as
No, so you can find us on Instagram and Facebook
Yeah.
And I think YouTube under Spilt Milk _band. That's us. You can find us in Gateshead usually, in Newcastle,
Just around
around the
Gateshead,
pubs
yeah.
and snooker places in the area.
But check out the Spotify. We've got a good YouTube. We've got plenty of content up on there if that's your thing. Yeah. Facebook.
Yeah, you're always posting good shots as well by the piano, doing some really nice stuff.
Instagram Reels, we're really trying to hammer that sort of content at the
Yeah.
moment. So
Just trying to do as much before the Clooney.
and we've got a treat for you at the end of this podcast as well, Pablo. We'll do a little song.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We couldn't leave you without a song.
Gonna sing a little song. Oh well, that's great. No, I really appreciate you taking some time out to be part of the channel, and yeah, it's amazing that there is a local band called Spilt Milk. If nothing else, like I'm sold on the name, but the music is incredible as well, and long live the milk, up the milk.
Well, thank
Yeah. And I want to thank everyone for tuning in to this interview on Joining a Fan Channel. Don't forget to like, subscribe, all that good stuff. And we will see you all next time.
Bye.
you.
Bye.